Certain exercises can easily be substituted, so feel free to be creative. The important thing to remember is to adhere to the basic underlying tenets of high-intensity training. Cappy, Ray, and I have demonstrated various exercises with many pieces of equipment. This is not to suggest, however, that various other types of equipment cannot be used just as effectively. You may even find that certain types of equipment suit your individual temperament. Various combinations of equipment can be used with varying degrees of success depending upon your goal and effect desired. Whatever you choose, free weights or machines, no one piece of equipment is capable of working magic. For optimal results, the single most important factor is intensity of effort. The results you realize will be totally dependent on the energy you put forth. So give it your all and realize your ambitions. This is your host, Mike Mentzer, wishing you much success with high-intensity training.
To learn how to think and judge independently, and thus deal successfully with that which is of most fundamental importance of human life, you are not free to evade the consequences. No, big muscles do not confer a halo onto your crown or provide one with intellectual confidence and self-esteem. I have known a number of top bodybuilders, men of extraordinary muscular development, who suffered from profound lack of self-esteem, who, despite all their trophies and the public adulation, were riddled with self-doubt and beset by psychological conflicts they had no slightest clue how to resolve. None of this was the result of a deficient or malfunctioning brain. No, they were intellectually self-arrested. Each had apparently decided at an early age that he had learned enough. One of them was a bodybuilder of the absolute first rank, who, despite being well known for his massive development, was plagued by chronic doubt as how to proceed with his training, and marred by a number of serious character flaws. While training at Gold's Gym, where I conducted my personal training business, this individual befriended one of my clients, a rank beginner with no muscle to speak of. I was surprised to learn later that the heavily muscled champ had called my client on a number of occasions, once at 3 in the morning, to ask if there was really any merit to this heavy-duty, high-intensity training, and whether or not he should forsake the volume approach and give it a try. Many make the unwarranted assumption that the top bodybuilding champs must be experts on the subject of exercise. After all, they have the muscles. It is a mistake, however. One cannot cite the apparent success of a couple of dozen of top bodybuilders as indubitable proof that a certain training approach is effective or superior. If one were to look back through the course of their training careers and calculate the hours, months, and even years of wasted effort, time during which they made no progress, one would have to question whether their achievement could properly be termed success at all. You'd conclude by scratching your head and wondering, didn't these men have anything better to do with their time? And many apparently did not. The champ mentioned above, for instance, never gave much time to thinking about his moral character and his development. I can clearly recall a couple of instances in Gold's Gym where this imposing giant of muscle used his greater size to intimidate others of lesser physical stature. Once because a person accidentally got in his way while walking to the water fountain for a drink between sets. And I know from an unimpeachable source that there were those who helped this individual financially to get his business started. Their largesse was motivated by sheer benevolence and goodwill, yet were never paid back. It was also widely rumored that he regularly beat up his girlfriend when they didn't wait on him hand and foot precisely as he pleased, which may or may not be true. Obviously, the point is, big muscles are not the measure of a man. As much as these tapes are about the human body and its improvement, they are also about the mind and its improvement. Why would an audio tape series on bodybuilding also be about the mind? Because human intelligence, of course, is what makes it possible to understand anything at all, including exercise, bodybuilding science, and that which is most interesting. And that, of course, is us. We, the members of the species man, the divine spark in the great chain of being, the highest of all living species on earth. It has been averred all too often that bodybuilders are dumb or stupid, which simply isn't true, as evidenced by the number of phone calls I receive from intelligent bodybuilders every year. These include people from all walks of life, such as medical doctors, lawyers, physicists, stockbrokers, students, and tradesmen, all who happen to be bodybuilders as well. I will not talk down on the assumption that the listener so lacks intellectual depth that he is incapable of exercising the mental effort required to integrate knowledge of a higher order. Nor will I insult your intelligence by expecting you to accept anything I say simply because I've won a few bodybuilding contests. It is only on the basis of grasping the logical truth of an argument that one should agree. I will not bore you with the type of intellectual pablum or garbage you've read so often in some of the muscle magazines. In case you hadn't noticed, the vast majority of articles written on the subject of training consist of little more than a series of arbitrary, out of context, biblical-like commandments. Thou shalt perform 4 sets of this exercise, and thou shalt perform 5 sets of that. Why? Blank out, no reason, no logic. The realm of the intellect is more demanding than the average bodybuilding writer recognizes, and that formulating a valid, non-contradictory theory of training requires knowledge of the nature of human physiology, as well as knowledge of the nature of man's mind, and his method of using it, logic.